So let's talk about stay stitching. What's it for and do you really have to do it? Stay stitching is a stitch that you're going to do on curves. It secures the fabric. So think of the bust, the neckline, the waist, occasionally the hip, but not usually. So if it calls for stay stitching, what it is a stitch that's inside of your seam allowance. So if your actual stitch line is right where I've chalked this in, your stay stitching would be just on the inside of that, okay? And it's a real narrow stitch, like a 2.0, 2.5. And the whole point of it is that, for example, this neckline, when I go like this, and this is a pretty thick cotton, you can see it's stretching. Why would that be stretching? Well, because part of it is cut on the bias. So if you don't stay stitch, if you've ever made a top and your top is kind of sticking out, or you're, like you can't figure out why it's not secure against your body, or maybe it's only on one side, that would be because you stitched all the way around your neckline, and this side probably looks great, and this side is all stretched out. Stay stitching would secure this. So I have two arrows here. When you do the stay stitching, you start on one side and stitch down, and then you go on the other side and stitch. So both are coming into the same area. Now I have a fabric here, this is just like a charmeuse. This is where you can really tell the difference on a neckline. See how much this stretches? A lot. So the stay stitching is just a stitch you do before you sew that seam or before you secure the neckline. I'll just show you briefly how I do this. You use the same thread and the same needle that you're using to sew your garment, so just regular standard thread. I'm using a very narrow stitch. You don't need to back stitch, and all you're doing is stitching, and I'm allowing the fabric to feed. I'm not pulling. If you pull, you'll end up with a bunch of waves. I'm just letting the sewing machine do its job. Just gonna go a little bit further here. And so here's the stitch. Now this is a little messy, but I moved this in a little bit so you could see it. So I stitched from here all the way down to the center, and what this does is this helps prevent that fabric from stretching now. That stitch keeps it in place. So you would actually then turn your fabric over and stitch from this side down. Now I should have gone all the way to the center, but I'm just trying to show you what this is. That is how simple it is to stay stitch, and now you understand the purpose.